In this video, we're gonna talk about the 10 masculine laws that you should live by as a man, right? A lot of the laws that I came up with in this video are things that I've noticed in like other successful men throughout history, and just things that I've worked on in myself personally, or things that I'm currently working on, right? By any means, I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm not some like next level high value guy and whatnot, right? I'm on my way to being one, right? So in this video, I'm gonna share the things that I think will get me to success and the things that I am currently working on to get to that point. And if you're like me and you're on this similar journey of becoming like the best version of yourself, trying to become like a high value man, that sounds kind of corny, but like not high. I hate that term, high value man. You know what I'm trying to say? Like if you're on the path to becoming like a successful man, right? Then you should listen to this video, because maybe the things that I'm working on can help you on your journey as well as it is mine, right? So these are just things that I've learned on my journey and things that I've noticed in other successful men and things that I'm implementing in my own life and things I'm working on and things of that nature, right? So we're nowhere near where we want to be, but we're better than yesterday and we're on a journey. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into the 10 laws, the 10 masculine laws that I think every man should live by, right? Before I get into these laws, I just want to say, if you need help with your fitness journey and getting in the best shape of your life, hit the link in the description. I can help you out with that. I'm the guy for that, and I'll be happy to be working with you soon. Back to schedule program. Let's get into these 10 laws every man should live right. 10 masculine laws. All right. Got my notepad here. We wrote some stuff down. This is a lot of shit. The first law is think for yourself, right? This is one that, if you watched my COVID video, I'll probably link that up below, right? This is one that, has stuck out with me for the last 5 years, especially with the COVID lockdowns happening and stuff, right? Like there was a lot of misinformation. Everybody was like being turned against each other. It was like 2020 was like a year of like straight up division, right? And it was really a year to test to see if you could think for yourself, if you can critically think and make decisions for yourself, right? And during that time, that's what I realized, that I had to really think for myself and kind of question everything I've been taught in my entire life, right? It's one of those things where it's like, as a man, you got to realize that not everything you've been taught since you were a kid up until now, like you're responsible. Like it's not your fault for being programmed a certain way, but you're fully responsible for your new programming as a man, right? You're responsible for, letting go of limiting beliefs, or letting go of false beliefs that you were taught, right? Because you had no choice, because you were a kid and you were like, just taught this just because, you're young, you don't know any better, right? It's up to you as a man to kind of let go of the bad things that you were taught and like, discover new things that are actually going to better your life, right? So a great way you could say it is like, a friend of mine told me this. He says, squeeze the sponge, right? You squeeze the sponge, you let water out, right? And the water is like squeezing the bad things that you were taught as a kid, right? And then you gotta be a sponge and absorb good things that would actually benefit your life, right? So, thinking for yourself is just about being your own man, have like not going with the mainstream media, what everybody else is saying, just making decisions for your own, thinking for yourself, right? And a lot of people kind of struggle with it, because when you think for yourself, you're gonna get attacked for it. You're gonna get ostracized for it, because when you go against the herd, right, the herd will attack you back. It's gonna be like, what? It's kind of like that book. If you I read the book in high school. It was like George Orwell, 1984, right? When you go against the group think, they're gonna try and like, grab you and be like, no, you're supposed to think this way. You're supposed to think with the herd. You're supposed to do this, right? So, and we saw a lot of that in the pandemic, right? And so, yeah, the point is with this law is just thinking for yourself. And law number 2, be a lifelong learner, right? So you want to be constantly learning, constantly absorbing knowledge, right? And this is kind of ties back to what we talked about previously with like, being a sponge, absorbing, right? You got to be able to learn and be a student along the way. Like for example, with this hybrid training that I've been on now, right? I'm new to this. I'm new to training like an athlete, even though I've always been an athlete in high school. it's different because now I've spent years lifting weights in the gym, right? And I kind of lost that athleticism a little bit. Now I'm training for it. Before it just used to come naturally in high school, right? But I think it's because I'm not training those fast muscle switch fibers as much anymore. Like it's kind of like, it's probably still there. I just gotta like, reawaken it. But I just think that, I gotta train like that again. I actually have to do drills to actually kind of get that back, And where I'm going with this, the point I'm trying to make here is that, I've gone from, just strictly weightlifting, bodybuilding kind of thing, and then I'm going into hybrid training, and I'm doing different things as I'm progressing on my fitness journey. I'm doing different things. I'm learning different things. I'm not staying stationary. I'm not saying I know everything about fitness. Far from it. I'm choosing to remain a student to the game. I'm choosing to constantly absorb knowledge about fitness. I'm constantly learning about different areas about fitness, growing my knowledge, right? Because if you get to a point where you think you know everything, that is where you actually are at risk of not reaching your full potential, because you think you know everything and then you're blind to your blind spots, right? So being open to always learning just keeps you from being blind to your blind spots, right? And you're able to fix the areas that you're lacking in, right? Because life it's infinite, right? It's infinite in terms of learning. There's always something you can learn, right? So always be striving, always be learning and accepting knowledge, right? Like Socrates said, I think he said like the path, I'm paraphrasing, I'm gonna butcher this quote, but he said the path to wisdom is like admitting that you don't know anything is the key to wisdom or some bullshit. Correct me in the comments. Someone find the quote for me in the comments. I'll probably pull it up here, but damn, we're already off to a bad start. Can't even remember the damn source material. Fuck, man. Anyway, let's move on to the next law, bro. Let's move on to the next law. Law 3, and I'm always talking about it in all my videos, and I actually stole this law straight out of the book, 48 Laws of Power, Law 25, but in this video, it's gonna be Law 3. Recreate yourself, right? Recreating yourself. Like I read a book a couple years ago called 48 Laws of Power, of course, and I talk about it all the time, which is the chapter in that book talked about creating a character that is larger than life, that never bores the audience, right? Don't accept the role that society forces on you, and create a character that is larger than life, that commands attention, right? And it talks about being an artist, right? And crafting yourself like a work of art into the image that you want to be, right? Into the man that you want to be, right? And the best way to do this is to literally get in the best shape of your life, because when you go from skinny to jacked, it's literally a night and day difference, right? And that's what I did, back when 2019, when I came straight out of high school, I was skinny, didn't have a job, broke, wasn't in school, nothing going on. Like straight out of high school, I just felt like back at square zero, right? So then I decided, okay, let me recreate myself, right? So then the first step to recreating myself was getting jacked, getting in the gym, putting on muscle, right? I remember I was about 150 pounds, went up to about, right now I'm about 180. I actually been up to 200 pounds, but I went on a cut recently, so now I'm back at 188 pounds. And just to show that difference, right? I put on weight, I recreated myself, and it was a night and day difference. I'll probably pull up images on screen, but it was literally a night and day difference, right? And that's why I'm always pushing, like, fitness is so crucial. If you want to recreate yourself, like shift your identity or reinvent who you are, you want to be someone different. Like, I'm telling you, if you haven't already, fitness is like the gateway drug to recreating yourself. Like, it leads to other areas, because if you can fully control your fitness, you can control other areas of your life, right? And I don't think you guys understand I don't think people understand how powerful this is, because it's like, your body is evidence that you can change your life. Like that, how crazy is that? Like, if you right now don't think you can change your life, your body is literally evidence. You're a walking testimony that you can change your life, that you can make a night and day difference. So if you can do that, imagine what you can do in other areas of your life. And if you need help making that transformation, whether it's skinny to jacked, obese to jacked, and you just need a custom plan to kickstart to recreate yourself and get in that custom plan, get in the custom routine, hit the link in the description. I got you. I can help you with that. I'm the guy for that, and I'll be happy to work with you soon, right? A little shameless plug there in case anyone needs it, right? But with recreating yourself, you also got to realize that recreating yourself is also a lifelong process, right? Like you don't just recreate yourself and then it stops. No, like you have to constantly recreate yourself your entire life. And the two perfect examples of like successful people that I look to when in terms of recreating themselves is like 50 Cent and Drake are perfect examples of recreating yourself. Because 50 Cent, he went from drug dealer, rapper, businessman to film producer, right? Author, right? Like he throughout his entire life, he's recreated himself throughout the years. He's changed himself. He's changed himself into who he wanted to be, right? And it's a constant thing. He's still evolving and he's still growing, right? Because he created a character that never bores the audience, right? He's able to like recreate himself and get himself into different rooms, right? Because I feel like, especially for longevity, if you want to be someone who's successful, you have to constantly recreate yourself. Because, like, again, you have to create a character that never bores the audience. So you have to constantly recreate yourself, right? It's a lifelong journey. Look at Drake. He created a character that never bores the audience. 2008 Drake is so different from 2025 Drake. And he's had many different phases. He went from like, in my feelings Drake, then he went a little hood Drake, then he went to like dance music type Drake, and then he's going from he switched his music styles, and he's very versatile, and that's why he's still relevant to this day, right? And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate from all the Kendrick guys, right? But it's so true. The reason why Drake is gonna be on that top 10 Mount Rushmore of like rappers is because he's literally that guy, right? He's recreated himself. When have you seen Kendrick recreate himself, right? Kendrick sounds the same for years, right? Drake has recreated himself. That's why he never bores the audience, right? He's created a character that commands attention, right? Because he's earned it. He's recreated himself over the years, and that's what. And to rely it back to the everyday man, like you and me, like we got to recreate ourselves, right? Like for example, what I'm doing, I'm recreating myself through like I started off doing athlete, then I went to gym bro, then I'm trying to become this hybrid of athlete gym bro, and who knows what's next. Maybe it's boxer, maybe it's, I don't know, Muay Thai, whatever it is. You're constantly evolving, right? But yeah, we talked enough about recreating yourself. Let's move on to law number 4. Number 4 is stoicism and like just emotional regulation. So this law is something where it's like you gotta be able to control, as a man, you gotta be able to control your emotions, be able to you gotta balance emotion with logic, right? You gotta be able to balance the two, right? You gotta be able to figure out when is the time to be logical, when is the time to be emotional. You don't want your emotions to completely control you, right? Because then you're just off the rails. And this is something I'm personally trying to work on in my own life, right? Because sometimes when shit hits the fan, I'll start to panic. Like I'll be like, oh shit, like I just get in this panic mode and stuff. Like I'm getting better at it, but it's still something I need to work on. Even when I used to play basketball back in the day in high school, I remember I had one of my biggest issues when I would panic so much and I would be in such a rush all the time, right? I get the ball and I just constantly gotta just do something, right? And then one time my coach told me, he pulled me aside, he said, don't be in such a rush all the time, right? Sometimes you just gotta ground yourself and think, right? That was so true. You're playing a game of basketball, you get the ball, right? You're not gonna just, you gotta just, okay, think, am I gonna make the pass? Do I got an open shot? Can I take this guy? Can I drive into the hoop? You know what I mean? You gotta be able to think logically, be able to balance, that emotion with logic, right? And that's where stoicism comes in, not acting on emotion, but just be an observer of your emotions, right? Not acting on them so quick, right? You do need emotion because emotion, I believe, drives you, right? It drives you to achieving your goals, but it also needs to be controlled and funneled, right? It needs to be, you guys get what I mean, right? It's gotta be like a controlled thing, it can't be sporadic, it's kind of like when the Hulk, I'm gonna bring some MCU shit into this, when Brucey's out of control because he's the Hulk and shit, right? But now he's like, now I'm not talking about Professor Hulk where he's like a pussy now, but I'm talking about like when he's able to channel it, right? Where at the end of the movie where he's like, where Captain America says to him, he's like, He's like, you need to suit up. He's like, no, that's my secret, Cap. Like, I'm always angry. But like, he's able to channel the Hulk to attack the enemy, right? It's the same thing with like controlling your emotions. You have to channel your emotions. You have to control it, right? It's like Jordan Peterson said, right? You got to be a monster, right? But you got to learn to control it. Law 5 is never be envious of another man, right? So this is one thing where I realized this very early on as a kid, you know, just not being envious of people, right? Like, I learned this early on, like junior high days, you know, I would see guys who were like better basketball players than me, or maybe they had better grades than me. And over time, like I noticed that, you know, success leaves clues, and you got to figure out what is it that this guy is doing to get those results, and how can I emulate that in my own life, right? And, you know, I took this lesson throughout school, you know, through sports, you know, just trying to figure out what are these guys doing that I'm not doing, right? You have to look at people with inspiration rather than jealousy. And I think that's a better way to go, because if you look at them with jealousy, you're only hurting yourself, right? And this is kind of lame too. It's kind of like you might as well just use their success as inspiration rather than jealousy. I think that's a better, more, what is the word? It's a better route to go down, because you'll actually improve that way if you look at it as inspiration. Law 6, I would say, is get jacked, right? I'm always talking about it in my videos, get on body game, get jacked, right? Because it's actually really important as a man to be strong and to be able to look like a menace and just be able to protect yourself. Just get jacked, right? Get jacked. Because there was a quote that really stood out to me by Socrates. I think it was Socrates. Correct me if I'm wrong, Socrates or Aristotle, one of the two, but he says, it is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty in which his body is capable. And that's so true, right? It kind of just screams to the idea that it's a shame not to reach your full potential. That you, as a man, you should be reaching your full potential. You should become the best version of yourself. And being the best version of yourself also means your fitness, because your fitness also matters. People will try and say the gym doesn't matter. You know, oh, what's the gym gonna do for you? The gym can't help you now, right? People will say all this shit, yada, yada. Bro, the gym matters, bro. Your physique matters, right? Your presentation matters, right? You wanna recreate yourself. Fitness is literally the first step to doing that, right? And you'll just feel more confident in yourself as a man when you just are confident in how you look, right? And it's just one of those things where it's like, why wouldn't you do that for yourself, man? It's just a form of like self-love, right? Like you're just able to create an avatar that you're proud of. You should be proud of yourself as a man. Why wouldn't you be proud of yourself, right? Put in the work, right? Do something positive for yourself, right? Build that physique, build that body, right? Like, I don't understand like why people would like say it's not, like they'll make it seem like it's such a chore to do, like it's something that's like, yeah, it's hard, it requires discipline, but the ROI is so high. Like you'll see so much benefits if you just get on your physical fitness, right? Like I just don't understand why people are so against it. You know, there's just so many movements against fitness. It's so weird. This generation is just really weird. Like people will find ways to defend being like mediocre and, you know, just being like not the best version of yourself. Like they'll look at when you talk about like success and being the best version of yourself, you're looked at as like cringe, which is kind of weird. But like I said, like law number 1, think for yourself, don't be with the herd, right? And a lot of it stems from like jealousy too, because they know deep down that you being the best version of yourself points a mirror directly at them. So you just got to keep going, keep getting jacked, and forget what the haters are saying, you know. And if you need help doing this, you need help making a custom plan, you're not sure how to make a proper workout routine for yourself, make sure you hit that link in the description. I can help you with that. Make sure you hit that link in the description. I can help you with that. I'm the guy for that, and I'll be happy to be working with you soon, bro. Hit that link in the description if you're serious, and we'll get to work, right? But back to schedule programming. Let's move on to the next law. Law 7. So don't make excuses for yourself. So this is one where it's like, you know, like earlier, don't make excuses for why you can't go to the gym. Don't say bullshit things like, oh, I'm too busy, I'm this, that, and the third, right? Like, you can't make excuses for why you're not where you want to be, right? Because there's someone busier than you that's making it happen, right? So as a man, you got to stop making excuses for why you are stuck in the same place. Find reasons for why you can instead of finding excuses for why you can't, right? And that actually segues me to the next law, law number 8, which is don't fight for your limitations, right? Don't fight for your limitations, and you have to reject the victim mentality and develop more of like a victor mentality, and just be growth mindset oriented, right? And I think this is probably arguably the most important law, one of the most important laws that you should follow, because it's gonna really determine your success, right? It's gonna determine whether or not you succeed in life. Anyone who's ever done anything great, they never victimized themselves. They didn't feel sorry for themselves. They never fought for their limitations. They always believed in themselves. You have to believe in yourself as a man, right? You can't always look for someone to blame this society. For example, in my case, like growing up, I was not good at math, people tell you, because you're a minority, because you're black, you have less of an opportunity than everybody else. You didn't grow up with that much money, you're this, that, like you're destined for this, that. Like, no, like you can't fall into these traps and let people label. It's like that comes back to recreating yourself, right? Don't accept the role society puts on you. Society's gonna tell you, you're a minority, you're at less of a disadvantage. You're I don't know, you're poor, you're this, you're that, you're third. Because of this and this and that, all these labels, because of this, you can't be successful. When, if you look at throughout history, there's people with disadvantages who are in worse positions who made it happen, right? So that's why you can't fall into the trap of being a victim, right? You can't fall into the trap of thinking of yourself as a victim. You can't fight for your limitations, because if you fight for them, you get to keep your limitations, right? For example, like in my own life, right? I wasn't good at math growing up, right? And I failed like math 3 times, bro, right? I remember in high school, I did going from math 10, 11, 12, that's because high school is grade is 10, 11, 12 for us in Canada. But going throughout the school system, I literally remember going through 10, 11, 12, and I would do each math course at least twice or 3 times because I failed it, right? And I still made it into university because I never let that limitation affect me, right? It was all up here, it was all in my mind, right? I just needed to apply myself, just start studying more, take the shit a little bit more serious. And then eventually I did get into university, right? Like I never let that hold me back, right? If I gave into that victim mentality and started blaming the teacher, blaming the school system, it's the teacher's fault I'm failing, it's this fault, the teacher sucks, that's why I'm failing. If I would have continued to fall into that trap, I wouldn't be where I'm at today, right? It's about taking self-accountability for your own shit and realizing, okay, where am I actually fucking up and how can I actually improve, right? So you have to develop more of a growth mindset and believe in your ability to change, right? And reject the victim mentality, because you're not a victim, right? Because there's nothing enlightening about playing small, right? Because on this side, we're winners and we don't complain. We just do shit, right? We chase our goals. We're winners. We're lions. We're not sheep, right? On this side, we go after it, right? We don't make excuses. We don't fight for our limitations on this side, right? Next law, number 9. Law number 9. This one is about nobody is coming to save you, right? This one I had to realize too, early on in my life. Straight out of high school, I realized nobody is coming to save me, right? Negative $15 in your account, no one's coming to save you, right? You go into university for the first time, the teacher's not gonna hold your hand, right? Teacher's not gonna hold your hand telling you, then make sure you hand in this assignment. No, you will fail. They don't give a shit about you anymore, right? The world doesn't care about you anymore, right? You show up late to your job, you get fired. Like, I remember, turning 18, 19, graduating high school, going into the real world. It's like, bro, nobody cares about you anymore, right? Now I'm 25, and I feel like it's the most empowering thing ever to realize that no one's coming to save you, right? Because the moment you put someone as your savior, aside from Jesus Christ, who is your Lord and Savior, but as soon as you put your life into the hands of a savior, like the government or like the school system or whatever the case may be, right? As soon as you give another human being the power to save you, is the moment you lost, right? You should never give anyone that kind of power, right? But the power to change your life is within you, and it's always been within you, right? It's not Justin Trudeau is not gonna save you, Pierre is not gonna save you, Trump's not gonna save you, Kamala's not gonna save you, whatever like government politician, they're not here to save you, right? Like your success, your destiny is in your own hands. And as soon as you can realize that is where you're gonna start to make the most amount of progress, right? Once you start taking accountability for yourself and what you can do to improve your own life, that's when you'll see your life is gonna change, right? Stop giving power to these politicians, right? Sure, it's cool to have different political preferences and all that good stuff, but never make those political preferences like the end all be all, like, oh, my life is gonna be determined whether this candidate or this candidate. No, that's not how it works. You control your own destiny, right? And there is so much power in realizing that than giving it to a politician, right? You have more power over your life than you think. You just gotta make a plan and figure things out and control what's going on in your inner locus of control, right? Next law, this law, I'm always saying it in all my videos, the last law number 10 is there's nothing enlightening about playing small. What do I mean by this, right? I got this quote from Coach Carter, and I always saw this quote. I saw this quote when I was in high school, right? And I never used to think much of it. You know, where he says like, there's nothing enlightening about playing small. We're all children of God, yada, yada, yada. You guys know how the quote goes. I might just put a clip up here.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
For you to see, but like, you guys know how the quote goes, but it's always glossed over. I always glossed over, right? I never really understood what it meant until like I grew up, got a little bit older, and because my whole life, I feel like a lot of times, you know, I'd be playing small, right? Just so I don't ruffle any feathers. I would constantly kind of just like, I would constantly just like play small so that people don't feel insecure around me, trying to like downplay yourself, right? People will downplay you and you kind of run with it, right? And I had to realize that there's nothing enlightening about that, right? You playing small does nothing. It does nothing for humanity. You're actually become a detriment to humanity when you play small, because when you playing small, you can't inspire other people to bring themselves up, right? Because you're playing small, society or humanity, if you will, doesn't advance because you're playing small, right? Because your contributions, your success can catapult everybody else to success, because they will see you shining and then everybody else gets inspired off that, right? And it creates like a ripple effect, and then everybody gets to win because you decided to play big and go for the big leagues, right? So there's nothing enlightening about playing small so that other people don't feel insecure around you, right? It's natural that people are gonna feel insecure around you. They're gonna feel some type of way, right? But that has nothing to do with you. It has more to do with them. So they gotta deal with that shit, right? That has nothing to do with you, right? So you gotta understand that there is nothing enlightening about playing small. You gotta play big. You gotta be the best version of yourself. Even if people don't like that, even if it pisses people off, good. You know what I mean? Because eventually it might even inspire them to do better for themselves, right? And also it's just not ideal to like lower yourself for other people, right? And you'll realize that the people who actually like belong in your life will encourage you to grow, and they won't bring you down. They won't hate on you. They won't downplay what you have going on, right? Your real friends, there are people who actually want to see you win. They will encourage you and push you to keep going, right? That was a lesson that, you know, it took me a while to learn, but eventually I did learn it, right? And I still, at times, I'm a human being, right? I still forget sometimes, and that's why I save it on my phone. Like I look at it and I be like, there's nothing enlightening about playing small. I have to remind myself every day, there's nothing enlightening about playing small, right? Because we all have the power, right? Everybody else, we're all children of God, right? We all have the power within us. It's in everybody, right? It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone, right? So why are we playing small? It's kind of like, when they teach us, if you went to church and stuff, they teach us kind of like the body of Christ, right? And it's like everybody is like it's like a tree or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's like a tree or something, but we all have something to like contribute to it, right? We all have something to contribute to the greatness of God's kingdom, right? So us playing small, it doesn't inspire anybody, right? It doesn't inspire anybody. You might as well play big and inspire the rest of the body, kind of thing, right? Hopefully that made sense. I hope you guys got what I mean by that. But that's kind of all the laws I wanted to talk about in this video. I don't even know how long it is. I hope it's not like an hour or something like that. It probably isn't an hour, but I didn't want to make this video too long. But yeah, there it is for you. If you like this video, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification because I post literally every day. And hit that link in the description if you need help making a custom workout plan and you need help doing that. I'm the guy for that. I can help you with that. Hit the link in the description and we can make a custom plan for you to reach your fitness goals. And remember, like I'm always saying, there's nothing enlightening about playing small. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.